Google Cloud, building the production-ready AI agent in Vertex AI Agent Builder. So this is my topic, and before we get into the topic, right? So a small introduction about me. So my name is Karthigayan Devan, right? So I have 20 plus years of experience in site reliability and platform engineering, especially in Google Cloud. I do have multi-cloud experience, including AWS, Azure, and Oracle. And my primary basic personal motto is to building the apps with respect to the Google Cloud and Vertex AI, and how we can turn our ideas into a production-based application, right? That is my core motto of this presentation. And apart from that, the technical part, so I like to speak in multiple events, and I do mentoring as well, so for students as well as for any mock interviews, so that also I am doing as part of the volunteering. And my basic strength is SRE and platform engineering. So this is my LinkedIn, so you can follow me and connect me if you have any queries after this session, right? So I am always welcome to reach out to you offline, right? So before we get into the core of the topic, right? So let's understand what is this agents about, right? So how many of you are using the ChatGPT or any type of agents on daily basis? Raise your hands. Yes, absolutely right. So this is like water for us, right? So everyone is using mobile apps and everything, right? As part of the mobile apps now, at least in my knowledge, 90% of the people are having a ChatGPT or any type of chat application, right? So what is the primary motto behind this one is the agent, right? So how they are building the agent and they are connecting the people through that agent, that is the core concept of this presentation. And I read one of the statistics in the recent article, like by 2026, right? So at least one AI agent will be in all the business workflows, right? So each and every companies right now, so they are working on how to make the agent workflow for their business, right? So at least one workflow should be there in 2026 in all the companies. So that is the statistics is telling by the recent researchers. And before we get into this one, right, so we need to understand like what is the primary challenge of getting into this prototype into production. So now the AI agent topic and the AI is very fascinated, right? So at the meantime, we are getting a lot of articles and everyday LinkedIn posts like, hey, I developed this, etc., etc. Okay, cool. This is very cool with respect to the POC. But when you consider about a production-based application, right, how you are going to handle that application with respect to a lot of factors. So that is one of the key challenge we need to consider as part of this AI agent development. So that we will cover in the next slide. So this is where I just spoke, right? So what is the challenge we are facing is, basically, I would like to state there are multiple challenges. So for this presentation, I like to highlight all the challenges into 2 points. One thing is how we are putting our LLM prototype are very easy, right? So whenever we are doing any POC application, right? So okay, sometimes we develop our own application if you are a developer with a background, and sometimes we are copy paste the snapshot from the GitHub or whatever the things, and we can try application, right? Okay, it will cool work. Okay, all good. So, but when you post that into a production, right? So what are all the challenges you may face? So I just put some 6 main key challenges. One is the latency, right? So when you type something, the agents or you are getting a prompt from the response from the ChatGPT, right? So sometimes if it is taking too much of time, right? As an end user experience, you may feel little difficult, right? Oh, I don't have time to wait. So that is called latency. And the latency needs to be always low. That is one of the key criteria for every live application, right? So if the application is giving a higher latency, right? So the user will get not a good experience. So the low latency is one of the key point. And cost, right? So even though these days ChatGPT and everything is good, at the end of the day, they are putting the cost, right? So how we can minimize the cost to attract more customers, right? So that is also one of the key things we need to consider. And hallucination, right? So how we can avoid the unnecessary data into our responses. And the data access is very key these days. So who can access the right data at the right time? and we don't want to lose our data to the unauthorized person, right? So that also we need to be considered. And the security, right? So nowadays the hackers are very smart, and they can inject anything into our application without our knowledge, and they can get the data, right? So we need to be very cautious on the security. So those 5 points we need to be considered as a key strategic points whenever you are applying any agents development, right? So, okay, so these are my challenges, and how we can overcome these challenges, right? So there are a lot of public cloud providers are giving a lot of options. So now I'm going to talk only on the Google Cloud, right? So in Google Cloud, so we do have one option called Vertex Agent Builder. So they are giving a composite of box type of thing. So you can develop and deploy and test and do the IAM in the sense the access and security, everything in one shot, right? So if I am a developer, right? So I can only focus on my code and the business logic behind my code, right? So that is the only part I need to do these days, right? So the Google will take care of the entire thing as its backbone infrastructure, and then it will go from there. So now we will go to one level deep, right? So what is exactly an agent, right? What is an agent? So agent is nothing but a system, right, that perceives, reasons, and act autonomously towards a goal. For example, what is the goal in the sense here? Let's take any one business reason or any, okay. Let's take any one business objective, right? So how we can target that business application, business reason, so we can split down into a multiple steps, and we can hand over that into agent as part of the instructions. So that is how the agent will understand that one, and it will target towards that business objective, right? That is called agent. What are the key things is, one thing is the context retention, right? So whenever we are applying any of agent development, right? So how it can resembles the old chat data every time you don't want to repeat the data once again, right? So the retention is very important, and also the goal-driven reasoning. So when AI does not respond to input, it needs to understand the end goal and plans to achieve the step. For example, not all the time we can able to provide the information to the agent. Like sometimes the agent needs to think on their self and come up with some type of solution for the end user, right? That is very important. And also the agent needs to integrate with the external system. So external system in the sense as an application developer, right? So I may have some, for example, item inventory in some other applications, or I have some other external application, or other clouds are also connecting to my application. So how we can integrate this type of external environment into my agent, that also we need to consider. And also the last point is self-evaluation and feedback loops. So once something goes wrong in my agent application, right, how it can able to improve themselves, that is called the feedback mechanism. So now all the agents are very intelligent to get the feedback and learn from the feedback and go from there, right? So we don't want to repeat the same mistake again and again. Sometimes it may happen. So what will happen is the agent now these days has a inbuilt mechanism to learn themselves as part of this one and then go from there. Some examples I just given. So one thing is the order tracking system. So that integrates the CRM, the customer relationship management along with the LLM and the cloud support agent, right? So these are all the high level examples. And let's go into one level down, right? So what is the Vertex AI? So the Vertex AI is one of the main product Google is giving these days in order to develop the machine learning and Gen AI platform, right? So what it means is the Google is giving a complete suite so that the machine learning engineers can able to deploy their application from the scratch. No need to worry about the entire infrastructure or whatever the things are happening, right? The 5 factors, whatever I mentioned. So apart from that 5 factor, they are considering all the things. The key 5 factor they will take care of without your knowledge, and you can just focus on the application thing and then deploy, and the Google will take care of everything from the backside, right? The main thing I mentioned is the model training and fine tuning and hosting. So these days we do have number of models available, right? So every day some model development enhancements are coming on the way. So you can just copy the model, just to say like reference, you can give the model. That is one way of doing it. Sometimes some developers are developing a model, right? So in that way, I think Google Vertex AI is giving an option how we can train, fine tune and hosting the model for the public end user to consume it. That is one option is available. And the second point is the data labeling, feature store and pipeline and monitoring. So data labeling and the feature store, I will go through in the UI so that you will get a more understanding of this one. So you can able to use the existing feature store available feature. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, okay. So you can able to use the existing feature instead of reinventing the every time, right? So that option is available in the Vertex AI. And also the Gen AI, the latest model of whatever the Gen AI models. For example, if you are using an agent application for images or text or videos or whatever the thing, right? So you can readily integrate that application to the existing Gen AI model instead of reinventing thing, right? And also the last one is the agent power builder tools. So now they are giving a lot of options to overcome all these things, and within a 10 minutes or within a 5 minutes, you can able to create a production version of a conversation agent into the Google Cloud. I will give you one small demo during this presentation that will show you like, hey, how cool this entire Google Vertex AI ecosystem looks like, right? Okay. And what are the key advantages of this one? The Vertex AI is a unified platform. It's a single environment. You can manage your models, data, and deployment all together easiness, so that the developer no need to do anything on the infrastructure part. So the Google will handle, and you can just focus on the business side of the part, right? And also the Google has multiple services. For example, Google BigQuery, we have cloud storage bucket, PubSub, Cloud Run. All the things will be easily integrated through this portal, and you do not need to do any heavy lifting. And also we can able to integrate the external things also. For example, my application is presenting in AWS or Oracle, so that option also available. But internally the Google is giving these internal applications so that the IAM in the sense the access part, the service account and all other things, right? So that will be very easy to handle through this part. And the built-in responsible AI and governance, so that is very important these days. So whenever you are deploying something into the public world, right? So how your agent reacts, what is the responsibility of that AI, and how we are governing that part, right? So that Google will take care of for you. And they are giving multiple options to enhance it also. So from your end, I mean your end in the sense from the developer end, no need to worry. And auto scaling is very important these days, because we never know, right? So when our application will hit 1,000 users or 10,000 users, if our application is really good, so who knows, it may go for billion user like ChatGPT, right? So from that perspective, so you need to make sure like your application is auto scale enabled. At the same time, if the traffic in the sense number of user hitting is very less, you need to lower down the thing, because your cost will go higher in the. So that auto scaling is very important. And also the security IAM we already discussed. And also in recent days, we have MLOps and Gen AI capabilities built in, right? So that also the Vertex AI is giving the end users the more perspective, so that you can focus and put these type of feature easily into the Vertex AI platform. And these are the core features which I explained in the recent, right? So one is the model. The model is nothing but the models, whatever we are getting from the third party thing, right? For example, Gemini. Gemini is nothing from the Google, and Imagen and Cloud from the external thing, right? So all the models are readily available in the Vertex AI portal. So what you can do is, there is a syntax available. You can just copy paste the syntax and import it to your agent, and it will do all the magics on its own. And Gen AI Studio, so now they integrated the Gen AI Studio as part of the Vertex AI. That is one of the cool features. So you can able to do the video generation or media and everything into as part of this Vertex AI. And search and conversation and agent builder, so that is what we are focusing now, the fourth point. And the Vertex AI in extension, so it integrates the model into the API and external systems. And evaluation, so as part of this one, right? So now they are putting this evaluation is one of the cool new feature they introduced in the recent weeks. So that is available right now. So you can able to evaluate whatever the model you are putting into the production, right? Whether it is a quality and how much is the metrics available. So those type of things also you can able to do that. And Vertex AI Workbench, so this is mainly for the scientists. So recent days we are, even in my earlier researches, right? So whenever I do I have some local things and I will do then copy paste. So in this recent world, so no need to do that. Vertex AI itself is giving all type of options for us so that you can just heavily use this notebook already available for the MLOps environment. Okay, so now we are going into one level down. So let's think about how Vertex AI Agent Builder works, right? So Vertex AI is nothing but Agent Builder is nothing but it's a managed environment. Managed environment in the sense the Google will take care of everything, all the infrastructure parts. So from your end, no need to do anything. So you can just focus on the design and testing and deploying the part, right? So apart from that, no need to worry, and you need to put some type of configuration here and there based upon your business case, that's fine. But Google will handle everything on your own. That is the term called managed environment. And you can able to use a multi-model thing and combines LLM, search, workflow integration or whatever, right? So from your business perspective, the business objective perspective, you have to focus, so what is my business goal and how I can achieve my business goal with respect to all the factors, right? So that is the only focus you have to do. The Google will handle everything on its own. So what are the core components of this one? So one thing is the LLM backbone, right? So now the latest one is the Gemini 2.0 and all other things are coming, right? So you can heavily use that one. And the grounding service. The grounding service is nothing but, so whenever you are chatting with any type of application, if that particular data is not available in, around 6 months back when I did some POC, right? So if that data is available, then Google will say, the chat application will say like, hey, that data is available, I don't know, or something, right? So now that is not the case. You can readily use the RAG. RAG is nothing but the retrieval argument. So you can point your application to the latest documentation or URL or website or depending upon your use cases. So during the chat, if that application, the data is not available, the LLM agent will contact the particular website or the latest information through the RAG and they will get the information. That is called the grounding service. And also the data connector. So your agent is readily able to connect to the Google's inbuilt BigQuery, GCS and whatever, and also the custom API also. If the information is readily available in the external third-party application, so that is also able to connect. And context engine, so that is one of the important parts. So now the recent blogs and everything are telling about the memory, right? So memory and how the user context when we reusable. So memory in the sense when I am typing something, no need to repeat the same thing to the agent. So that will be like, so if you are from the development background, so like Apache or Kafka, some type of the catching mechanism are there, right? So what it means, it will use the development environment to get the data from the memory instead of typing or putting into the effort every time. So that is called the conversation memory. And the extension for calling the API and backend dev function and observability layer. Since I am from the SRE and platform engineering background, so the last point is very important. So before you put any application into production, you need to make sure like you can able to get the 100% visibility into that production site. Otherwise, if something happens during the production environment or any troubleshooting activities or any P1 incident or priority incident, right? So you don't know what's really happening, right? So when user types something, enter it, and it goes to the production and the LLM agent and it comes out as a data and sometimes it goes to the external system and whatever the thing, right? Including the latency and the value metrics or whatever may be, right? So you need to make sure like whatever the things happening inside the cloud environment, you need to get the 100% visibility with the metrics so that you can use those data to put yourself into the next mode, right? Next mode in the sense you can able to enhance those data into the next level. So that is the observability layer. And what is the agent life cycle, right? So there are totally 6 levels of agent life cycle. So starting from definition, right? So defining. So let's say like once you define the flows, okay. So once you define the flows, right? So my Mac agent is don't like this one. Okay. Okay. So totally we do have 6 life cycles. So one is define, ground, integrate, evaluate, deploy, and monitor. So in the previous slide, we just explained about this one, right? What are the core components? So it is slightly relevant to this one in a theoretical way. So it's a very simple. So let's take the monitor, right? The observability part and how we are deploying. So how we are evaluating. So it's a step-by-step process. Whenever you are putting any type of agentic application, right? So first of all, you need to define what is your business objective, right? Then what are all the external things or latest informations you are going to do use that up. That is called grounding. How you are integrating with the external system, and also how we are evaluating this thing, right? That is very important. So once the basic 4 things are there, right? The last piece is the deployment, right? So where you are deploying, how you are deploying, how make easy you can able to make the deployment for the developer. So that is the things we need to consider. And last part is once the deployment is done into a production environment, right? How we are going to measure the reliability and latency and accuracy of the system. That is important, right? So that also covers under the agent lifecycle. And also I given what is the grounding. So that is the grounding in the recent days is very important. So that's what I put a separate small index for the grounding. So the grounding is nothing but it uses the RAG as I mentioned. So it is a retrieval augmented generation. So what it means is sometimes, right? So for example, if you are developing an application, so in that application, so you are using some data. So that data may be a recent data for now, right? So what will happen after 1 year or 2 years? So we don't want to spend more time on that one, right? So for that, what we can do is we can make some type of endpoint or Confluence documentation or whatever may be, right? So that the end user can update the Confluence documentation. So from your end, just give the URL as part of the agentic application. So when anything happens, the agent will always contact that Confluence and get the latest information for you, right? So that is the beauty of this RAG. So these days, RAGs are picking up, so a lot of challenges also there. At the same time, a lot of enhancement also coming up, right? So the Google Cloud is giving the beauty of this RAG. And I gave a small difference between what is this Vertex a builder with the traditional bot, right? So let's take the logic part. So obviously the traditional one is a rule-based one. So this is the reasoning driven. And context, so that is a stateless one. So now the Vertex AI agent has the memory and context aware so that it will able to recall everything, no need to repeat everything from your end, right? So that is one thing. And data, sometimes the traditional bot, we need to hard code everything. So now with the help of the grounding techniques, you can use the live data access using the RAG. And scaling part, so previously the traditional bot is using the manual infrastructure environment, right? So now Google is giving the auto scaling feature. And security, so security also one more important, right? So whenever you are putting your agentic application into production, so you need to make sure like IAM. IAM is nothing but integrated access management. So that is one of the Google Cloud terminology to control who is having access and what level of controlling you have to do. So that is the terminology. And VPC, the perimeter layer. So what is the boundary of your application? So who can access your application, who others not, right? So that is also they will consider. And audit and logging, right? If something happens, right? So what part of logging you have to send apart from your agentic application, right? So there are a lot of loggings are there, info logs or error logs or whatever the logs, right? So that is mainly required during type of incident comes into picture. So that also we have to be very careful and we need to consider for this agentic application. And I gave some of the examples. So what it means is in the recent days, right? So I noticed one blog with respect to the how we can connect our BigQuery billing data. BigQuery billing data in the sense now the Google Cloud is using the billing data. So as part of the BigQuery, so that BigQuery billing data has billions of records, millions of records, right? So it is impossible to query each time, and whenever you are querying, it will add some cost. It's a minor cost only, no need to worry. But at the same time, right, so the only who knows SQL can able to understand that language, right? So you have to write the syntax and come up with those type of things. It is a very tedious process. So now I think you can easily integrate your AI agent into that BigQuery so that you can just type whatever, hey, what is my cost of my application in the last month, and what is my percentage of allocations when comparing to one service to other service, those type of thing. From the user language, you can able to chat, and this type of AI agent will help you on that one. And one of the thing I mentioned in the technical flow, right? So how it happens in the back end, right? So for example, let's take the user, right? So whenever the user types something, so the Vertex AI search will come into the picture and it will use some models. So I gave the Gemini as a model, and it will call the cloud billing API, or sometimes you can directly put your BQ billing query on behind the scene and it will do that magic, and it will do the structured reply. So how the reply comes to the user, that also you can control as part of the agentic application. And also I gave one more example, right? So demonstrate how the agent can reason. So through this type of agent, right? So you can able to think from the business perspective, right? So what are all the queries I have with respect to the billing? So you can just simply ask like whatever you are thinking, right? So the LLM reasoning will come into picture, and in case if it don't know, right? So it will learn from your thing and it will suggest you something like, hey, what I can do better on this one, right? It's like a human improvement, right? So those type of AI agents these days are really great. So that's what I just give this billing query. So one way, right? It will help you to save your cloud cost, and also the AI agent, the recent development, it will be very good for us. And before I move into a quick demo, right? So this is my second point. So with respect to the production thing, right? So what are all the things we need to consider before we get the application into, application in the sense in this way, the AI agent into production. One thing is security, right? So what are my private endpoint, right? So whenever we are deploying the application into a Cloud Run, so Cloud Run is nothing but one of the managed environment in Google Cloud. So you can deploy your application in a Cloud Run or GKE, it's a Kubernetes engine in Google Cloud. So what are the private endpoint and who can access that endpoint with the perimeter and IAM role? So everything will be considered, taken care by the Vertex AI, that agent builder itself. And also the governance part, right? So what are all the data which is coming inside and outside, and who is accessing the data? In the recent days, I think they integrated the cloud armor also into the picture. For example, if any bots are coming and accessing your thing, right? So we can able to easily handle it on our own. And also the latency optimization. So whenever the user is putting a chat in the central one, right? So if your agentic application is in a West or California, wherever maybe, right? So the latency will be higher. So those type of consideration also it will be giving. And guardrails, and what are all the perimeter you need to consider when the response thing. So that is the guardrail. And continuous improvement. So that's what I said, the reasoning part, right? So the RFIL, so they are telling the feedback mechanism, right? So these are very important when considering for the production thing. And the last one is the observability and monitoring, right? So what you can observe and what you can monitor is a key aspect here. So one thing is metrics. So agentic application, so you may notice multiple chat or anything, right? So for example, I think I heard some blogs, right? The chat GPT is giving some type of fancy certificate, like if someone is using 400 billion certificate tokens or something, right? So in recent days, so those counts also we need to get in order to get the accurate measures of how we are using the agenting thing. And what is the response accuracy, right? So agent will respond anything. So what is the accuracy of that agent? That is very important. So that also you need to measure. And also the grounding coverage, like RAG or whatever the latest information it is trying to get, right? So sometimes it may give the old outdated information also. That also we need to measure, right? And also the dashboards. So the beauty of this observability and monitoring within the Google Cloud is from the SRE in the sense site reliability engineer or end user perspective, right? So you do not need to put more effort. The data are readily available and the Google is giving the template, right? So there are two options you can use this dashboard. One is Google is giving a tons of a customized dashboard for you. So you can just go and plug the dashboards and put your data and it will give the high level thing. And also if you have some bandwidth or also a good development knowledge, right? So you can develop your custom dashboard also. That option also available in Google Cloud. And feedback loops. So something is going sideways, the agents will always learn from there. So that's what the n-back feed, the retraining modeling, you do not need to do the repeating end, it will learn from there. And I will walk through a simple thing, right? So far I think we covered all the theory things. So I will give you one small thing, right? So how we can play with this agenting thing, right? So now I am going to create a very simple agent just for the prototype, right? So what it will do is, this is my business objective, right? If I am going to type a keyword called Troy, so this I am taking this DevFest thing as a city, right? Troy, right? So then it will say like the festival event is happening in Troy and come and enjoy the thing, right? So if I am typing something other than Troy keyword, right? So then it will say something like I don't know. Right? This is my very small business case. So let's see how we can create that agentic application, right? So in Google Cloud, so whenever you log in, so you go to AI application, so under apps, right? So click create app button, right? So they are giving a lot of options for you. So for example, if you want to create something for the Gemini Enterprise or custom search or media search, so all the ready-made templates are available. So for this demo, I am going to take a conversational agent, okay? Okay, so under conversational agent, we do have 3 options. So one thing is I can use the pre-built agent, so which already present, or I can do my custom, currently whatever I want to build, so that is the build on my own, or the Q&A agent, that is for the customer center or whatever, right? For this demo, I am just going to click build your own thing, and from your end, just to say like some name, right? So Troy, POC, awesome demo, right? So this is where I am telling. So you can always control a global. So the Google will handle all the things on its own. For this demo, I am just putting, for example, assuming like I am in a central one, so that my latency will be low, and you can easily choose whatever the time, all are drop down box, right? Then click play one and then create. Okay, so once you put your basic information there, so the console will give the conversational agent. This is the configuration box. So here you have to put your business logic in place, right? So what is my goal of this one? So for the time being, right? So what I did is I just typed all thing. So I will copy paste and explain you. So what is my goal of this AI agent is, I want to serve the customer, right? So for a particular content, if my content is like a Troy, then I want to put a response like relevant to the Troy. Otherwise, it will say like, I don't know, right? So how it is going to react is, so I am going to put something called instructions in Vertex AI, in the agent builder. For example, right? So at first, whenever the agent comes, so it needs to, I am saying like, hey, greet the user first, right? So if the user types something called Troy, then say like, hey, DevFest event is happening, come and enjoy, right? So if other word, sorry, I don't know, right? So this is my simple agent logic, and you can put whatever the logic you want as per the business thing, right? And also the main thing is, for example, if you want to create the data store in the sense, it is like a backend DB. So in that DB, you can maintain your business logic. For example, you have a bunch of 1,000 Excel sheet and you want to refer that Excel sheet as part of your Q&A and all other thing, right? So you can put that Excel sheet into the data store, and the data store is nothing but a Google bucket or whatever may be, so that the bucket you can backend it, and it will be always referring that one, right? So that option is always available, but for the time being, I am not going here. This is a very simple application. So now we already given the instruction and goal, and this is my thing. Now we can save it. Right? So one beauty of this Google Cloud thing, right? So I do not need to deploy that into production and see how it is behaving, right? So from that perspective, I am wasting the time, energy, and all other thing, right? So what it is giving is, there is a toggle simulator option they are giving. So you can always go and do the simulation thing, and it will handle your part. For example, right? So now so simulator in the sense, it is like a sandbox environment, testing environment. So before you put your application into your production, so you can see like how is your application will look like in production, right? So you can readily put the thoughts here. So for example, now I am saying hi, right? So it will greet it, right? So for my testing, I can simply say like some other keyword, right? Like for example, Chicago. So the agents will say like, hey, I don't know Chicago, what it means. Then now we can say what is Troy, right? So depending upon the the input or prompt, whatever you are putting, right? So it will refer that instructions and get the information out of you. So that is the beauty of the instructions. And also, as I said, right, in the instruction, you can always say use tool, something like this, some business, I forgot, I think it should be like this. Yeah, it should be like this, yeah, tool. And in the tool, you can always say something, right? So tool is nothing but the data store. If you click the data store, right, so it will go and connect your GCS or what, it will give some option. I don't want to go there, it's a little vast topic. But you can readily use that data tool and all other thing in the instruction. So whenever you put all the business logic in this instruction and save, right? So during your testing phase, you can readily test all the things from end to end, right? And also one of the beauty is here you can easily see what is going on. For example, if you want to debug something, right? So it will give you all the debug option. Instead of going to the production and then or test instance end to end, you can do everything in the sandbox environment. And what is your response time, and what is the latency, and everything you can able to, including the test case also, right? So you can do it. And sometimes, right, so if I am from the testing background, I want to replay the conversation, right? So how my agent is looking like and every time, right? So no need to repeat the test cases again. So in that way, you can able to always replay this thing. So this is one of the beauty of this inbuilt conversation agent given by Google. Yeah, moving on to the next one, right? So now we covered the simplicity portion of the agents, right? So what is the basic things we can do? Nowadays, I think the agent is picking up and it is moving into the next level, right? So I just mentioned a few, the advanced use cases, like how we can call the APIs, API in the sense it's an endpoint for the CRM or ERP or Google Maps, right? You can able to connect whatever the application, irrespective of the cloud, through this agentic mechanism. All you need is some type of keys or authentic mechanism or how you are connecting, right? So that is the only thing you have to consider. The everything infrastructure and the magic behind this, they will handle it. And also the triggering flow, right? So in Google Cloud itself, we do have some option called Cloud Functions or Cloud Run or GKE or whatever thing, right? So you can able to integrate the services available within the Google Cloud, and easily you can connect the workflow together. And also we already discussed about the combining and reasoning, like for example, reasoning in the sense, what is the nearest data center and create a ticket and reduce the latency, so that part also you can do. And also the second thing is the multi-agent orchestration, right? So whatever the agent we created right now is a very, very simple agent. So now the multi-agent concept is available. You can just, multi-agent is nothing but the microservices, right? If anyone from the development background, they know what is a microservice. So you can split your business logic into a multiple things, a small chunks, right? So you, for the small chunks, you can create the agent and you can connect all the agent through the main agent, and then you can do, right? So in recent days, I think Google is giving a very nice option called ADK or something, right? So they are giving the framework. So from the development perspective, right? So the user do not need to do anything. So just to follow that framework protocol and create whatever the number of agents they want and connect all the agents to the main agent, and you can able to do all the things from end to end. And the real use case scenario I just mentioned, so one is the retail. So nowadays, I think all the retail company, mostly they are using, and I think in 2 weeks back, I saw one Walmart post also, right? So they are giving a chat-based purchase through the ChatGPT. So now they are telling like you can use ChatGPT to buy the products from the Walmart, right? So those are all the recent developments they are doing. And the banking thing, and healthcare, and education. So these are the 4 areas which is picking up while taking all the agentic mechanisms, right? So that I just mentioned. And as part of the summary, right? So I just given a very short thing, right? So what it means is the Vertex AI with respect to the agent builder, right? So whenever we want to develop the agent end to end, so we need to consider the lot of factors into place, including security, infrastructure, and all other things, right? So that makes the developer life or the programmer life very tedious. So now they are making it very simpler, right? So from that perspective, so no need to worry. So concentrate on your business logic, and Google will handle on its own. And production ready, and production ready in the sense it needs to be very secure and the grounded. It needs to get the latest information, and also we need to make sure like it is monitored 100% end to end, no gaps, right? And also the future. I think everyone knows the future, right? At least in 2026, 2027. So most of the person present in this room may be developing something with respect to AI thing, right? So I'm very happy in that one. And also I gave the small URL link also here, right? So you can go to that Google site. So Google, the beauty of the Google documentation is they are giving a vast information. So each and every advanced topic, they are giving a small subset of links. So you can always navigate to that one. And also what I have given is, I given my LinkedIn also here. So you can always connect me. So during my spare time, I always do some blogging and do the POC and do some KT or whatever the thing, right? So whenever you find something is not like not understanding or something, right, you can always refer me in the LinkedIn so that I can able to help you.